Hey everyone, if you want to make your own podcast but you don't know where to begin, Spotify for Podcasters makes it super easy. They've got everything in one place, it's totally free, and you can make money while doing it. Here's how it works. Spotify for Podcasters lets you record and edit podcasts right from your phone or computer, so no matter what your setup is like, you can start doing it today. Then you can distribute your podcast to Spotify and pretty much everywhere else podcasts are heard. Video podcasts are also supported, and you can even conduct polls and Q&As. With Spotify for Podcasters, you can earn money in a variety of ways, including ads and podcast subscriptions. And best of all, the platform is totally free. No catch, totally free. When I wanted to start my own podcast, I did not know where to begin, and I didn't think it was even possible. And Spotify for Podcasters made it happen. They made it easy, they made it quick, and I am doing something that I love. What more can I ask for? So if you're interested in starting your own show, you can do it, and I highly recommend you give this a try. Download the Spotify for Podcasters app or go to www.spotify.com/podcasters to get started.
Hey everybody, happy Friday. Welcome back to the third episode ever of Red Vein Kratom, the podcast about anything and everything kratom. Today we're looking at some red vein types of kratom, and this one's interesting. I mean, and it's also one of those ones that everyone who's talking about kratom when it comes to, getting over opioid addiction, which I have a family story about. People talking about that sort of thing usually revert to talking about red veins because of their sedative effects. So let's hop right in. I think that my number one favorite red vein type of kratom would be red tie. Red tie has a pretty strong sedative effect, to the point where you don't need to take much. I know that the rule of thumb is the more you take, the more sedative kratom is, but with this one, I find that even just with 1.5 grams or 2 grams, it's really quite enough to be super relaxing, super calming. Taking more like 2.5 or 3 grams for me with red tie, that's pretty much enough to help me get to sleep, to be honest. So it does the job. All right, so the next one that I want to talk about is Red Sumatra. Red Sumatra, I've tried this one a handful of times. The site that I get my kratom through, they will send you a small free sample, about 5 grams of a kratom that you haven't ordered before, which I just love. It's just such a cool way of exploring new kratom. It's probably the primary way that I've found new varieties is through these free samples, so gotta hand it to them. But Red Sumatra I've had before. It is one of the more potent ones that I've ever found. It's very calming, very relaxing. The difference between the red tie and the Red Sumatra, I think, is that red tie feels a bit heavier. Red Sumatra feels more like a lighter touch when it comes to sedation. It doesn't feel as heavy, which people might like more. If they don't want to feel weighed down. It feels more like a natural calming, kind of on par with, relaxing herbs like I've mentioned in one of the last episodes, blue lotus, chamomile, valerian root, maybe, holy basil. That's another one, also called tulsi tea. It's kind of like that, and you don't need much. Again, just a couple of grams will do. And it's a nice one for maybe, I've taken Red Sumatra mid to late afternoon to evening, sometime around there. It certainly is not a productivity strain. It's certainly not something that I would take when I'm trying to be on point in any respect. I know that some people, they can take red veins at any time of day. I can, but I typically don't because they have a strong effect on me, and I'm really not able to be in a productive mindset when I have a red vein. That being said, red Sumatra I could definitely take earlier in the day than red Thai. I might take red Sumatra before going out and being with friends and social, but I wouldn't take much of it. I might take just 1 gram, maybe even supplement a green or white vein with a little red Sumatra if I'm going out, and that it just kind of takes away anxiety. I've also found that red Sumatra is good with pain relief. Moving into the next vein, though, red Borneo, I've also found red Borneo to be great with pain management. Red Borneo has helped with, I'll find often that my shoulders are sore from, I have a baby at home, and you'll find if you have a baby, you're holding them in awkward positions for long periods of time sometimes. And I've found that it really helps relax my shoulders and it helps take away the pain up there. So totally worth exploring red Borneo as well, if you're looking at pain management. And I also have found that red Borneo and red Thai, actually, they both help with my mood a lot. Red Sumatra, no effect on my mood whatsoever. Red Borneo, I've definitely found helps with my mood, helps me feel more uplifted. And it can definitely bring me out of a funk if the funk feels abnormal. If I'm like in an abnormal funk, red Borneo is a good help. So totally recommend looking into that one. I also thought with this episode I would cover 1 or 2 that I have not tried, but that I'd be interested in learning about. One of them primarily would be red horn. I like white horn kratom. I've never tried red horn. And from the things that I've looked up, it's, looking at peninsuladailynews.com right now, it says red horn kratom is a rarity in the red vein kratom world. It's harder to cultivate and grow in comparison to other variants. I'd be interested to hear if anyone else has tried red horn before. It seems like it's really good with pain relief. It seems like it's really good relaxation, as all of them are. But, if you're an experienced kratom user, or if you've just tried a few different red veins before, but you kind of have a view like me, I found that each red vein is different. It's really amazing. It's one of the wonders of kratom. You can have the same amount of 2 different red veins. They're both reds, but they both will really affect you in different ways. So I love to hear it from anybody who has tried red horn before. All right, the other strain that I haven't tried before, but I'd love to hear from you all if you have any experience with it, is red vein Bali. I've had Bali before, like a green Bali. I have not had a white Bali. I have not had a red Bali. Something that has held me back from trying red vein Bali is that, from my own experience, I found that Bali kratoms are the ones that seem like they can give you shaky vision. Don't know if you've experienced that. I have a couple times. If I've taken Bali, that I think one of the first times I had Bali, it wasn't the first time, but one of the first times, maybe I had taken a little bit too much, but my vision got blurry, a little bit shaky. It's a thing I've read about, and it happens with Bali often. I don't know if this is true, but from what I've heard, Bali has more alkaloids. Bali has more alkaloids than other strains, or at least it's up there in terms of the amount of alkaloids, and so as a result, it has stronger effects, or it's more potent. So perhaps it's just the concentration of the alkaloids that's made that happen, but I know that red strains tend to be stronger by default. So I've been a little hesitant of trying red vein Bali. I also haven't gotten a free sample of it, so I'm also cheap, but I just haven't had the opportunity to try it. So would love to hear what people think about that. From what I've read, it's more potent, it's stronger, especially since it's red. It has a lot of mood elevating properties, which is interesting. It of course comes with the soothing anti-anxiety aspect. But yeah, haven't really heard much about the euphoria either. I don't know if this is more euphoric or not. I've also heard that the effects of Bali. I don't know if you can hear, but there's a rooster that just landed near me. I'm at home and I have roosters, so now you have to listen to that. Yes, thank you, rooster. But I've heard that crushed up leaves versus powders versus extracts have different effects. We could probably do a whole episode on that, but I need to have some more experience around those before I talk about them. So I'd love to talk with someone about that as well, if anyone has any interest in talking about taking kratom with, in the different forms that it can come in. But yeah, would love to hear about anyone's experience with Red Vein Bali as well. Okay, everyone, that's going to do it for us today. I'll be back on Monday to talk about Green Vein Kratom, and then we'll take it from there. I'm actually hoping to have my really good friend join us for the next podcast afterwards. We can have a conversation about perhaps the different ways of taking kratom, or maybe we'll get more into the political side of it and talking about this proposed World Health Organization, regulation or international ban. I know that it's not technically an international ban, but it's taking comments to submit to the World Health Organization to consider all of the legal lingo and jargon, which we all know means essentially ban. But it's interesting that kratom is being grouped in with 6 or 7 other substances, most of which I haven't heard of before. So it goes to show how much the government's really putting their time and energy into this one. But yeah, would love to talk about that. I'm sure we'll cover that one soon too. So looking forward to doing this again next week. And until then, have a great weekend. And thanks for tuning in to Everything Kratom. Bye.